The Gauteng Department of Agriculture and Rural Development is actually very involved and very focused on creating market access channels for our small-scale farmers, not just the ones that we support, but broadly within the Gauteng agricultural sector. One of the key priority initiatives that we are championing is actually looking at leveraging and aggregating procurement from the state itself as a starting point. We believe that as government we must lead by example. We mustn't always be pointing at other markets and looking at all other people if we ourselves are not the starting point of supporting farmers. So we are engaging with other departments such as your Department of Education on the school nutrition program, Department of Health, and these are departments that procure a lot of food. But it's really about connecting them to small-scale farmers to make sure that they get that guaranteed offtake and that they are able to scale and grow while supporting government and the social needs. But beyond that, it's also about trade facilitation. I myself am going to be heading to China, to the Hunan province and Shandong province next week with the Premier of Gauteng. This is actually the last step or the subsequent step in a series of trade discussions that we've been having with the Hunan province, wherein they are looking to procure agro-processed goods from Gauteng. And as you'll know, Gauteng is very prominent in agro-processing. We process 35% of agro-processing on behalf of the continent. And there we are talking about just value addition on agricultural goods. And we've gotten some good demand from China, and we're going to be supplying and connecting, again, micro producers, small-scale manufacturers to the Chinese markets. And lastly, and I made this point today, we mustn't also disregard, our neighbors right here regionally within sub-Saharan Africa, within Southern Africa. Actually, African trade is the biggest share of exports for South African agricultural products, followed closely by, Europe, as well as Asia. So it is a key market for us, and we want to see, a strengthening of the African Continental Free Trade Agreements, operationalization of that, and freer, easier trade with our fellow African countries and other markets in our region. So one of the key strategies that we are pursuing is aggregation. The challenges that small-scale farmers have is, one, capital for investing in infrastructure, in technology, and productive technology, more importantly. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is around volumes. They often cannot produce at the scale and at the consistency required to engage with the formal markets or the large-scale retailers, or even to meet export demand. So we believe that through creating channels for aggregation, you can then bring together farmers from perhaps one community or who are all producing a certain commodity, aggregate that product, standardize the product, and be able to supply more consistently into formal markets. We have test cases of this. We have a facility, an egg aggregation facility that we ourselves have partnered with private sector and with the South African Poultry Association. We established this facility in the West Rand of Gauteng. It's been hugely successful and has seen us actually create market access channels for, now we stand at 27 small-scale farmers who are contracted to the facility, supplying to your ShopRites, your Boxers, and all other retail chains. Because from their side, they're looking for a certain quality, and it's important also. We want to protect the consumers, want to ensure that the consumers are getting a good quality, high quality product, and our small scale farmers are capable. It's really about leveraging that collective strength through aggregation and making our investments at a level at which we can then get the maximum return on investment from the farmers that we're supporting. I think there's a lot of opportunity to information share, not just one unidirectionally, but even learning from other provinces. Gauteng is not traditionally an agricultural province, but we certainly are a province that has been able to leverage the little that we have and invest in technology, invest in production techniques. Obviously, we have the benefit of certain infrastructure, we have the benefit of having educational institutions, but we need to take that to where it matters. We need to be able to take that to the communities where farming is happening and where people need that information. So, discussion was had today even about extension officers. Unfortunately, we don't have the number of extension officers, the ratio of extension officers that we should have. And they become the channels, the people who should be sharing this information. We're not there yet. But certainly our ambition is to ensure that which we learn, that the skills that we gain also from the programs that we have, that we can share them widely and they don't just remain in Gauteng. Hence why we are even here today in KZN, sharing that which we know with our counterparts here.